Don't let a deck of fate deck you. Hello everyone, Bront, CatHerder here. We're having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends, and we are here on the free to pause account. It doesn't really matter which account we're going to be on. We're going to be talking about some of the best ways you can do the Deck of Fate events, and honestly I guess it's going to apply a little bit to the path events as well, and I guess in some cases the actual other dungeons. So there's a few things that you can do to make sure that your account is prepped for events like this. Now, we're just finishing a bunch of them, so obviously it's probably going to be a little too late for you right now. But if you struggled to get the Raphael Deck of Fate done, if you think you're going to struggle to get the deck or whatever the event we're going to have for Leonardo, I suspect that that's going to start this Monday. We're going to have the Swordmaster Path. I think that's going to be close to what we originally had leaked, just the dates are slightly wrong, which is kind of what Polarium said, which means that by the time this video goes live, we'll actually know whether or not that's right. So if that is incorrect, let me know in the comments how wrong I am without knowing what's happening in the future. Just kidding. I mean, I appreciate you guys commenting anyway. You guys are awesome. So what are we going to do about it? Well, first of all, we're going to thank Polarium for sponsoring this video, and now we're going to get into the video. So first of all, I want to show you something that's in the gem shop, and this is not from my account. I wish I had that many gems and that much energy. I didn't take a screenshot of this, and since I've now finished the decks, I just had to go find somebody on Reddit who posted this. So thanks to whoever posted this on Reddit. I don't have it up, unfortunately, so I can't give him credit for it, and I apologize. But you could buy these pizza points for gems, and it might seem like it's kind of tempting at first. And if you're short on time, it is. So if you're within, maybe you have 30 minutes left to do it and all you have is gems, well, you're going to struggle to run enough the dungeon in 30 minutes to get all the pizza points you need. But if you can run dungeons, there are dungeons that are actually very efficient for the pizza points, and it's going to depend on, and I guess they're not always going to be pizza points, they're going to be other kinds of currency, but whatever the currency is, there are generally best ways to deal with them with energy. There are certain tricks you can do. So we'll talk about tricks for dungeon divers. We'll certainly talk about some tricks for champion training as well, although honestly, the champion training tricks are pretty much the same ones for any champion training tournament, which is brew up your low levels before you feed them up into higher levels. So any champion you use as a chicken should have some brews or some levels run or energy into them to get a couple of those low, easy to get levels, which can be a bunch of extra free points for you. And then you make them the higher level, and then you go from there. So you should never sacrifice a champion that is level 1, at least, not one that you're talking about at the, the 1 star and the 2 stars. Don't worry about those. 3 stars, throw a brew into those champions, and that's 9 extra levels. So that can be like, 27 extra points. Doesn't seem like a lot, but you do it for 9 champions to make 3 stars into 4 stars. You're now talking a few hundred points. And then those 3 stars to 4 stars, those 3 champions immediately get, some brews that can make a bunch of extra points. And that's a cheap way without spending gems to do it, and that's one of the best ways to get the most out of your champion training points for those. But if we're doing dungeon divers, or you're pulling souls, or you're pulling shards, well, these are going to be difficult to buy. Now that said, this is still cheaper, probably. Well, actually, I don't know about that. These points right here may not be cheaper than buying shards, and I can't scroll over and show you the shards, so I'm going to shrink this and show you shards on my account. These ones right here. So this is a 3 gem pack, and this is an 11 pack for 900. Well, if these are 30 points each, for example, that's going to be 3,300 points that you could get from buying these for 900 gems. So why would I spend the money on buying, this for 1100? Now, souls are a little more difficult because you cannot buy souls directly from the shop, which I guess is why this particular pack offered them, because you can't buy those souls from the shop. But in general, you are better off buying energy and running a fairly efficient way to get the points, because even if you are getting almost or exactly the same number of points from your gems as it says so right there, you are still getting extra things for your account as well. So you're getting gear, or you're getting silver, or you're getting experience, and all of that stuff is stuff you can use. Now, normally the event dungeon isn't always open for these events, but if an event dungeon is open, the rates of things dropping is a little higher on the lower levels of these than normal, I guess. So stage 3 of the event dungeon, which is very easy to run with a single nuking champion and 4 pieces of food, you can run this, and when you run that, make sure if you're going to run it with like RSL helper or a clicker, you don't do it too fast, because you can actually get banned because it can take 1 second. And if you are spamming 1 second runs, the game is going to think you're cheating in some way, shape, or form. So you're better off either using their own internal multi-battle system, and then probably limiting how often you do that anyway. So maybe limiting it to 50 battles a piece or something like that. Or if you're going to use something like RSL helper or an auto clicker, make sure the auto clicker is actually taking a little bit of extra time. So it's not 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Make it 1 second, and then you might have a 5-second pause before the next event. And that will probably help you make sure that you're not going to get banned. It's a weird thing with how Polarium does this stuff. I kind of get it, because they're assuming that if you're beating stages in 1 second, at least later on in the game, it is because you are using some sort of cheat engine thing that's adjusting the time, and they don't want people to do that because they take that pretty seriously. So do keep that in mind. Stage 3 is abnormally good because stage 3, and to be fair, in a previous video I said stage 4, that was an error in my spreadsheet. Stage 3 is the first one, or the highest one I should say, that is 8. And you'll notice that stage 3 gets you 2-star and 3-star only, so you cannot get 1 star. So then for basically, 8 energy here, you get a good amount of stuff here. After that, your next really efficient stages is 10 is not too bad, because 10 is decent, although stage 11 should be more efficient because you're more likely to get better stuff on stage 11. It's going to be where these little breaks are in things. So stage 7 might be kind of efficient, but honestly, my math says that this is not a good stage to be farming. Probably the next most efficient one, if you're not going to farm stage 3 and spam it quickly, would be stage 20. Now, it can be the event deck, which is going to get, the event of dungeon, I should say, which is going to get you some good rewards. But if you can't farm that, then Spider is fine, because you can often farm Spider 20 really quickly. Or, hey, if there's a tournament going on, run stage 20 of whatever other tournament is going on as well. If you can bring food, that's great. If you can't bring food, just farm that stage 20, get another dungeon event done while also getting the dungeon diver done as well. Make the most efficient use of your energy. So, for example here, there was a event tournament for the Shredder event dungeon here. So I ran a ton of this when it was there. In fact, you can see here, I'm currently 2nd on this particular tier list right here. I don't think I'm going to run much more of this dungeon at this point, so hopefully I can keep this 2nd place. But free rewards here, and I got all the rewards over here as well, including this soul, which was very helpful for the deck. And that's where my next advice comes in for the decks. Look for these rewards where you can get these immortal soul stones, and make sure you do a few of them. Make sure you collect these immortal soul stones when you can. They are very, very valuable, because the only way to get them reliably, other than buying them from the shop, well, not only just for money, but buying them from this Mystic Market right here, which you still have to pull other souls to get, is from these tournaments. So if you do these tournaments, start stacking them up and hold on to them for special events like this, or for if they have a rate up that's of significant value, then maybe is also a good time to be pulling those as well. The big focus of this particular video is you want to be as efficient as possible. So there's a couple things you want to look for. One, do you have enough resources to get a particular deck done in the first place? And then 2, what are the best ways that you can get that and other things done at the same time? So one of the things you can certainly do is you can run campaign, because campaign will give you points for dungeon diver. Now, it's not going to give you a ton of points for dungeon divers, but if you are doing a champion training event combined with a dungeon divers event, running a ton of campaign right then and there is a great way to make your energy useful and efficient. Is it better than running a dungeon with food, for example? If I could solo stage 20 of a dungeon with food, is that better or more efficient than running campaign? Probably depends on which event you're trying to deal with. For champion training, no, it is absolutely not. On a per energy basis, you're better off running campaign. On a getting silver into your account, It's probably kind of hit or miss. It's going to depend on how much of that gear you're going to sell in like a Dragon 20, for example. But you can actually make a decent amount of silver here in campaign from a pure energy standpoint. And if you're talking about dungeon divers, well, Dungeon Divers is not going to be, and I guess it's Gear Hunters, the new game for it, so sorry about that. But Gear Hunters or Dungeon Divers, whatever you want to call it, that is not going to be as efficient here as it would be running food through Dragon, for example. But not everyone can run food through Dragon 20 or through Spider 20 or any other event. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with not being able to do that. It's still sometimes nice to be able to level up some of your champions running campaign, and you have to run some campaign anyway. So if you're going to spend a bunch of energy in campaign to get you like your monthly gem or anything like that, or the monthly sacred, I should say, then, might as well do it during a Dungeon Divers when you can actually get a bunch of extra rewards. Another one to look out for is the Tag Arena tournament. Tag Arena costs you no energy and limited resources in tag. It's just going to cost you a little bit of time, which I realize not everybody has a ton of time. But some people regularly go hard for this Tag Arena tournament while keeping themselves low by basically not putting in a defense, and they can absolutely burn through a ton of points here and get a bunch of really good stuff. It used to be a really easy strategy to get some of these extra relentless gears, is you could find an easy one of these tournaments, push up to the top, and get something really cool from it. But even then, 100 energy, nothing to sneeze at. 25 gems, not too bad. 3-star chicken, it's something for champion training. Hey, look, it's an ancient shard. Woo-hoo. But still good. Even a mortal soul stone, not a bad thing. And this is another resource that you can get without spending energy. So looking for these Tag Arena tournaments, and of course the Classic Arena tournaments that we have down here as well. Those are other good ones to make sure you get some free resources for. Especially the low-level resources are not too hard to earn. Classic Arena ones, you can often get the low-level energy you get for the first hit with doing 4 or 5 arena matches, which you're maybe going to be doing every day anyway. And, maybe it requires you to run 30 Classic Arena fights over the course. In fact, I think 30 is the right number. You have to win 30 to usually get the top point if you're in gold 5. And if you're in platinum, it's even easier because you get a few extra points for being in platinum. And then you're done. And if you're not done with your Great Hall, you're farming your Great Hall. And if you are done with your Great Hall, you're just going to get some Magisteel so you can forge some gear. So that's still helpful. And even then, it's still free energy and free resources to help you get one of these Deck of Fate events going. And finally, have some realistic expectations of the cost of what the souls are going to cost. I have seen souls for a Deck of Fate be as high as 100 for Immortal, 1,000 for an Immortal, and 5,000 for an Eternal. I have also seen them be as low as 60, 600, 3,000. Now for Raphael, we were a little better than that at 70, 700, 3,500. But keep in mind how low it can go when you're estimating how many of these souls you are going to need. If you get lucky, you might need, 40 of these Immortal Soul Stones. If you get unlucky, you might need 50 or 60 of them. It's really going to depend. But at the best case scenario, these Immortal Soul Stones just by themselves are going to be worth 1,000 points in a 40,000 point deck. And in the worst case scenario, they're going to be worth 600 points. And if they're worth 600 points, you're talking, let me do some math here. You're talking 90-ish. That sounds about right. Approximately 90 Immortal Soul Stones, which is pretty gross. Now you can get more of these as you pull because, well, you can eventually earn more of these coins and get more of these as well. And the Eternal Soul Stones, not a horrible thing to buy when you're going for this style event specifically. But in general, I find that buying the Mortal Soul Stones every time I run Iron Twins, nice and easy, and I do it all the time, and I've stopped spending them immediately unless there's a special event going on of some kind. So if there's a reward for pulling souls, I might eat my souls on this account. On my main, I am waiting for either events where I can get a guaranteed champion like this one for Raphael, or I am waiting for a rate up on the souls. So, hey, look at this. I can actually get more likely to get a mythical or a legendary or an epic, and or more likely to get a higher star rating from a soul. They happen for mortals Every once in a while they happen for Immortals too. Rarely, but it has happened, they can happen for Eternals, and it's actually pretty impressive when they happen for Eternals, but you don't get a lot of Eternals, so banking on Eternals to get you anything good is really difficult, particularly because you get so few of them. It's very much like banking on getting something amazing from Sacred Shards. You only get a few of them, so the risk reward is higher, even if it seems like the reward percentage is higher per shard. So Mortals, yeah, you're not going to get a lot of the 4, 5, and 6 stars from Mortals. You'd see here there's like a 7% chance or less actually to get something higher than a 3-star from a Mortal. But there's always a chance, and sometimes getting those 1 through 3 level stars gets you some of the fodder you need to buy an Immortal Soulstone, and there's where you start getting some reasonable rates. 50% chance of getting a 3-star, 50% chance of getting higher than a 3-star. And here is the case of, it's kind of annoying you can get rares from Immortals, but it's only a 37% chance. So you're talking a little more than 1/3 chance of getting a rare, and the rest of them are going to be epics, legendaries, or mythicals. So Immortals, very, very valuable. Now, what you should be saving for these coins here is going to depend on where you are in the game as well. If you like buying a bunch of these souls, you kind of want to save up to get to about 300 of the silver coin and 300 of the gold coin here, so you can buy the 4-star, 5-star, and 6-star soul of your dreams if it happens to pop up in the shop. But I would certainly, once you're close to that or done with that, and to be fair, I've had to blow a bunch of energy recently onto this stuff, so I just don't have a lot on this account at all. Saving up your gold coins right here, and especially if you haven't bought these yet, you don't have those 300 saved, just sitting on these things and seeing what you're going to do with them is great. You don't have to spend them. They don't have to burn a hole in your pocket. And eventually you can either buy some essence from them, or maybe you can buy one of these Immortal Soulstones. And I think these Immortal Soulstones are actually a very efficient use of those, because I can tell you, honestly, pulling a 3, 4, or 5-star soul from an Immortal Soulstone for a champion that you want is probably actually going to be easier than the once every 3 to 6 months of affording a 4-star or a 6-star soul from this coin right here. So there we go, a vague guide to getting yourself champions or rewards from decks of fate. Now, which deck of fates are going to be worth it and which ones are not, it's really going to depend on you and your account. If you can actually finish a deck of fate, like the Raphael one, for example, then it's absolutely worth going for, because free legendary champions are free legendary champions. And even if they're not great free legendary champions, if they are fragment shamans like they would be here, Raphael is 500 points for a champion chase or 30,000 points for a CVC. And that's going to be huge for this account. So they are useful tools for getting more champions as fragment champions as well. So do keep that in mind. And to be fair, this stuff works for paths as well. So if it's a path where you're just going to get the champion, well, that's fine. You just got the champion, and getting a champion is absolutely amazing. But so beyond saving up shards, make sure you're saving up your souls, make sure you know where you can farm efficiently with your energy. And honestly, I highly recommend, don't be like me on this account here right now. Make sure you always have at least 500 to 1,000 gems, because it is very helpful to be able to take those gems in an emergency and dump them into something. Be it energy, be it a bunch of ancient shards because you need to pull some ancient shards for something, be it I need masteries on this person pronto for some particular reason. There's reasons to have gems available, and it's not too hard to save up to that 800, 900, 1,000 gems, even on a free-to-play account, with doing your dailies, doing the gem mine, and, hitting clan boss regularly. You can honestly get yourself 500 to 1,000 gems a week without too much of a problem. So save up, stay focused, and make the most of the events that are put in front of you. And you too can get a bunch of free legendaries and free stuff when you've got the decks like this. Now, if it's a deck that's like for gear, for example, where you don't have to finish the deck, well then, hey, pull whatever you want, run whatever you want, pull as many cards as you want to. I love those decks because I don't have to finish them if I don't feel I need to. So it is 100% free bonus rewards for doing whatever the secondary quest is if I'm not going to be pulling souls. And if I have a ton of souls to pull anyway, well then maybe I should pull some souls and get some extra cool rewards on top of it as well, especially because oftentimes it is often mythical gear in pieces that are hard to get mythical gear in, or limited event stuff that you have to buy the Forge Pass to be able to get a ton of. And if you're not buying the Forge Pass, that's a free way to get Forge Pass gear. So keep all that in mind. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Let me know down below if this sort of thing helps you out, helps you prioritize where you should farm to make sure you don't miss a fence like this. It really is saving up and playing, in some ways, Wait Shadow Legends. And, you know, I know that's hard for some people, and some people don't like to do it because they don't find it fun. And if you don't find it fun, that's fine. Don't do it. No one's telling you you have to do these decks. Just understand if you're choosing not to do them by pulling that other resource, well, then you're choosing to not get some of these free rewards because you're trying to go for other rewards, which, to be fair, may have been worth it for you. I'm not here to judge. As long as you're having fun playing Raid, that's what I'm here to help you do. So again, appreciate you guys. Glad you guys got a chance to hang out with me. And until the next video, I'm Bront CatHerder.